All right, here we go. Show number 3. I think it's number 3
Yeah,
for us.
yeah, 3.
Hey,
All right.
Nathan, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, happy, radiant, and free, shining bright like 3 diamonds over here, getting after it. Happy to see you. How you?
Hey, better and better, trying to make the world a better place. Hello, everyone. This is
Well,
Jessie Bowen with my counterpart here, Nathan Ray. This is the Power to Live Your Vision podcast. We are coaches. We're helping people to empower their lives. And you say, well, why are you doing that? Because our lives have been empowered, and the way you get better is you give back. So when I'm now talking about prosperity, wellness, health, mental abilities, then I'm becoming aware of mine. And that's what we work on doing. And we got some books
yep,
out. You can go to Amazon and, just Google our names. That's Nathan Ray. And you can Google Jessie Bowen, and you can find a lot of our books. And we're going to be talking about some of that today. But we kicked off the Power to Live Your Vision because after a great year last year, and Nathan's, he has the gift of gab. So I'm going, okay, why don't we just do a podcast? I started this podcast some time ago, and I said, okay. And we're both we're martial artists, and we're both 10th degree
yep,
black belts. And what does that really mean? That means that we've been around the block. We know some things. We're the white belts that didn't quit. And that's the way life is. You
yeah.
don't
That's
quit.
right.
We had and I can, you and I chat a lot, but we all had that vision of becoming masters. Then what we found out that it wasn't really about the belt. It was really about learning to master yourself. And then when you can master yourself, then you're powerful enough to help someone else. But you can't help anyone until you learn how to master yourself. So what's been going on over the past week for you, Nathan?
I have been working on doing something that's a little counterintuitive, I think, for a lot of folks. But if you really think about the process, it makes a whole lot of sense, whether it's restoring a car or doing renovations on a house. The first thing they do is they go in and they start taking away all the mishmash. They start cleaning up and cleaning out. They can't even clean up until they remove the clutter and different things that are unnecessary or broken. And so I've just kind of been going into the new year, boots on the ground, running fast and hard, but at the same time using the idea of subtraction so that I can get clear about some things and uncover some things, and then I can get to work. I know what I need to work on. So that's something that, well, I do my thinking in the mastery course. You all may not know, I just completed a 5-week stint of our second thinking in the mastery course. It's about mind mastery. And so these are some of the things that we talk about. So in our last session, that's what we got into. What is a strategy what are the strategies we can apply? Not just things that sound sexy and awesome, but that we can actually utilize. And number one thing that we talked about was, hey, take away. Don't always keep adding. Hey, I want to make it better. Add something, but take something away. So that's kind of where I've been in my process. I'm like you. I share what I'm experiencing with others. That's how I teach. And so, so it's been good. Subtraction.
Well, that's a good thing. I told my wife, I told Pastor, says, no, you're not bringing one more thing in this house until you take something out. Don't no one tell
Come
her
in
that I said that, okay? I didn't really say it like that. But,
you
that's
come
a
in,
good
everything's gonna
point.
be
I know
gone.
we got a load of stuff to do today, but that is a good point for everyone. You see, when you're always bringing stuff in, that's what's clutter. So clutter is all the stuff that you didn't get rid of. So before you actually, start adding a lot of new stuff, you got to go ahead and get rid of some of the old stuff. If
Yes,
you
sir.
clean out your closet, you can have room for new things, new clothing. So if you clean out your mind and you get rid of those tasks, then you can go ahead and you don't have to work under stress. So one of
Yeah.
our topics today, so we may just cover these 4 topics over the next 4 weeks. So we made couple of them today because as I've, started, studying and really going back and really researching and doing some things, what I discovered is we don't really want to go so quickly that we don't get the message across. So in 2026, it's very imperative that you have a vision. So vision, this past weekend, we did the vision board class. We graduated students who came to our vision board class. And then on Sunday, we had our church. My wife is the pastor of Greater Vision Church. So this whole thing about vision is really powerful because if without vision, then people perish. So what does that mean?
Yeah.
And so the topic is how to turn vision into daily intentional action. So that's where we're going to kick off on.
Well, I mean, that's right in line with your book, The Journeyman.
Yeah. Well, everything really, everything really, connects with, and that's what a journeyman is about. We have a new book out, The Journeyman, and the journeyman is teaching about journaling. I thought I had a copy on my desk here, but so available on Amazon. It's called The Journeyman, and it's really about understanding how to get stuff out of your head. So we talked about the closet. You got so much stuff in there. We talked about, the visionary and how that visionary can be some of the problems that's blocking people because they have vision saturation. And that means that, I got too many visions and I'm not able to get anything done. And so today, Nathan, let's sort of chat about, clarity, of vision. And I'll let you take and kick off on that. And, but that's, I know you study karate and Aikido. I study karate and Aikido. And, we talk about, chi and ki and the projection of energy. But if I cannot see the target, then I'm not able to really with clarity, then I'm not able to really project my energy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you one of the great things that we learn through this journey in martial arts, and a lot of you learn it through different things, whether it's swimming, whether it's work, whatever it is, you start to realize that there's something more at play on a day-to-day than just what you can see with your physical eye. And so we talk about it in terms of energy, and if you don't have a clear concept of where you're headed towards, how can you ever get there, right? So this goes back. There's a process that we have to have. We got to identify where we are, and then we got to have a vision of where we want to go to, and then that gives us the ability to start taking small steps in that direction. But like to your question, but how do we develop that vision? I think, well, one of the things we get into is speaking about developing our mental faculties, the power of the focus, your imagination, having gratitude and digging in and getting your greatness. And that's all done in humility. But we got to at the end of the day, we just have to keep it real. I think it starts with keeping it real and just really, if you're haven't been honest with yourself, it's kind of hard to get a start. I think it just starts with, like you said, do some self-assessment, kind of clean out that internal closet as we were speaking about. And I think it just begins with taking, sometimes you got to slow down to speed up. I heard someone say that. I said, man, that's really good. But it's really challenging too, because we're in a very fast-paced world. So this goes into meditation, or if you don't like the word meditation, it's cool, everybody. It's just maybe take a moment and just have quiet time. If you want to call it quiet time, just where you can get quiet. Because if you don't change the vibration that you're in, you're going to always get the vibration that you're already currently in. So in order to change that vibration and that frequency in the body, we got to work with our mind and our subconscious mind. So short answer to your question, Hanshi, I think it begins with developing and learning methods of developing your human faculties, memory, will, with the power of the will and how to properly use that, concentration, all of those things. Because most people are doing physical things. They do push-ups and pull-ups. But if you ask someone, hey, what are you doing to develop your memory? What are you doing to develop your power of concentration? Most people aren't consciously doing that.
Right, right. And one of the other thing about developing vision clarity is, I've got a vision that I want, I want to, I want a new home, or I want to get fit. But what does that look like? What
Right.
does success look like? So I can plan my goal, but what does it look like? What is it?
Yeah.
So that's one of the key things that we wanted to say to you today is, as you're planning your success, what does it look like? And, what does success look like to you? And then we
Right.
think about, okay, this is what it, success looks like, it looks like that Corvette.
Right.
So if you write down, if you've got a goal, what does it look like? When it's completed, what will you have? What will you do?
Right.
So in other words, you begin to claim that before you actually get, before you get it. You have, is it red? Is it blue? Is it white? What is it? What is success? Is it the new home? Is it going on the vacation? Is it the relationship? If you wanted a relationship, then you write down the qualities you want in that person, how tall they are. What are the qualities you want? You write out on a list what it looks like to you. You want, financial success. What does that look like? How many, most people never put a number on financial success. They go, I want financial success. What is that? I can give you $5. Is that financial success? Or, is 100,000 financials? What is that number, of success, and how does it correlate to that? So when you now begin to, what does it look like? Nate, I have these money rugs in my office, right?
Yeah,
I took them out.
I know. I remember. Oh, you did?
I took them out and put my Corvette rugs in. Guess what I'm doing now?
Hey, what's that?
I'm putting them back in.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I heard.
I've lost some sound there with you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Sir, I can hear you. Yes, sir. I can hear you clear.
Okay, because I'm not able to hear you right now.
Oh, really?
So I'm not sure what's going on here.
Testing.
Yeah,
No,
I don't hear you.
You can't.
But
hear
anyway,
me?
I've been feeling different since I took my money rugs out. So every day I sit in my office, and these money rugs are on my down on the floor, and subconsciously, it's there, and I look at it. So and since I've taken them out, about a month ago, I'm feeling a little weird. I don't feel the big money drive.
Right.
So I'm actually
mind is powerful.
I'm actually trying to get them back in. I still don't hear you yet.
Okay, let's see if we can figure this out.
So we're gonna move on to the next to our next topic on what we were talking about. And then, as we're talking about clarify your vision, what kind of impact does this have on you? What impact, if I now have this vision of something I want to achieve, what will be the impact? How will it make me feel? How will it benefit me? If it's money, how will this benefit me? If it's the vacation I want to go on, if it's losing 25, 30 pounds, how will that impact me? Will it make me feel better? Will it make me look better? how would that impact me? And
Right.
then, one of the third things is to, why does this matter? Well, it matters because the things that you clarify and visualize as your success point, you already know, what does it look like? What does success look like to you?
Right.
What does this, how will this impact my life? And then you go, why will this matter? So when you have those three things in alignment, then what you do is you write it out, you write it down, and then you have clarity, and that clarity now will actually help you to be able to have a great direction in that. So did you make
Yes,
it back,
sir.
Nate?
Yeah, I
Okay,
think so.
I
Can you hear
still
me?
don't hear you. Uh,
Wow.
so what we'll
Uh-oh.
do, Nate, why don't you go ahead and I'll let you back in. Why don't you log out and come back in for me?
All right, we'll give it
You
a
know,
shot.
okay. So, and as we think about that, that's really, really powerful as we develop this mental clarity. So as you're setting forth on your goals this year, so that's the thing that you want to be able to ask yourself, okay, what does that, what does that mean? And then you want to be able to break visions into small daily actions. Big goals can feel overwhelming. If someone says, well, I want to maybe it's your financial goal or a business goal, and to get it done, it becomes a struggle, and you don't see the progress happening when you want it to. So you can break the vision into smaller achievable steps. So that's what you want to be able to do as you are now working on your goals, is to break them down so you don't have to have all those goals sitting in front of you. And sometimes when we have a lot of goals sitting in front of us, it's very difficult for us to actually achieve them because there are too many, and we get distracted. So when you have your goals, then you really want to make sure you don't get distracted. Hey, Nate, did you make it back? Can you hear me?
Can you hear
muted.
me?
It shows you're muted. Are you muted? No, you're not muted now.
Can you hear me, sir?
Can you?
You're
Okay.
distorted
All
now.
right. All right. So
I don't know what's going on.
what I'm going to do, I'm going to wrap this up here, and Nathan and I are going to come back and we'll have some other things there for you. But before I wrap up, so I want you to think about breaking the vision into simple, achievable steps. Focus on what you can do today, and then you want to commit to progress, not perfection. I'm a Virgo, and I used to think when I was reading my horoscope that I was a guy of perfection. And what I learned was that it's better to be proficient, because perfection takes too long. In other words, I'm working on something, working on it, and I never get it done. That gets bored with it, gets left behind. Your car manufacturers, when they release a car, and sometimes they already know that something is wrong, and they definitely try to make sure it's not something that would harm someone, but they probably realize they're going to have to do a recall on it, and you get a recall notice in the mail. But the car's already been out 6 months, 8 months, and so they have to do a recall on it. So you take it back in and they fix the problem. So if they waited to perfect the car, it may be coming out in August, it may be January before it comes out. So sometimes you have to understand that it doesn't have to be perfect, but it does have to have It has to be proficient. So when you're thinking about your goals, then you want to be able to think about being proficient with your goals. Now, that's just a couple of things that we've covered, this week in our program. So think about those things and think about how that will impact your goals and what can you get out of that. So, hey, this is Jessie Bowen. Be blessed. Take some notes on what we talked about today. And remember, work on making the world a better place. See ya.